So you wouldn't believe what happened. My shifter, I went to shift and it snapped off. B&M, what's going on, man? So they do sell this shaft. I can buy the shaft, but I'm not really sure how to get it out. It looks like I need to press this pin out. That all comes apart. This is easy, but this pin keeps it from sliding up or down. So I guess I'd have to beat this pin out to get a new one. But my dad is on his way, and he thinks he can mill that flat, drill a new hole, tap it, put a new bolt in, red Loctite it, and then have another shaft. So we're gonna do that for now, at least, to temporary fix. I might buy a new shaft just so I have it, and see if I can figure out how this all comes apart.
What's going on, YouTube? Maybe I should introduce myself. I am Dave Madison. I am Josh Madison's father from One Bad S2K Racing. And Josh had a sort of a mishap with a shifter. It decided to shear it right off here. This little threaded bolt that goes right here snapped. So we are going to temporarily get this working again by taking this bolt, and we're going to turn one end down. We're going to drill the top of this and tap it, because we don't have enough meat right here to put this 1/2-inch bolt in. So we're going to turn it down to 5/16, and then it will step up to 1/2 inch to go back into there. And this basically is to get him running again for testing this weekend. By trade, I am a woodworker. I have a woodworking shop, but I do have metal experience. I actually do have some metal machinery, so I can do this job. So I'll sort of take you through it. So we're going to drill this freehand. My little drill press I don't have enough room from the spindle to the base to put this in there. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, we got our hole drilled. So now we're going to tap it and see how this works out. Okay, we got our hole drilled and threaded. It seemed like it cut very well, so I don't think we'll have any trouble. So now we have to go out and take this bolt and turn one end down and tap that and make her fit. So what we're doing here is we are creating a step in this bolt. We're going to go from 1/2 inch down to 5/16, and then thread that, and it's going to be an adapter piece until Josh buys a new B&M shaft there to go in to replace it. But we've got to have something for this weekend to test, so that's the mad rush. Here's our adapter. Worked out very well. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. It's only as strong as that turn down area, but this is a grade 5 bolt, so hopefully we'll have enough strength there, at least for a while, until we get a new shifter shaft. So there we go. We're back in business. So I guess we'll do a little testing this weekend. All right, till next time, YouTube.
All right, well, I got a nice new little painty shifter. And here's the top. This is what snapped off. Well, it's pretty at least. Here's our next customer build. First piece. So I'm doing a long time S2000 buddy, Eric, and he wanted the Speed Factory block offs. And we're building another F24, guys. He also sent me some timing cover bolts because he got timing cover coming. But that'll be down the road, so don't worry about that right now. But yeah, we are building another F24 short block, and that'll be in probably a couple months. Blocks of Jeremy's, so it's gonna be a little bit. Today what I did was try out my dad's new shifter mod. So he helped me out. He drilled down, as you guys saw, and put like a post in. I snapped the head off the shifter bolt. Don't know how, but it happened. So I just got back, making sure everything's good. Everything is good. Exhaust is back off. It's sitting over there. It cracked in the back where he mounted it solid to the car. So I talked to Bailey. He's gonna do some type of suspension mount system where it's gonna be in rubber. I'm telling you, this car vibrates everything to death. It really does. Everything else looks fine though. Downpipe looks fine because he's got the flex on there. So we just put the dump on. So the dump is back on, but we are testing this weekend. I wanna see what my suspension changes did. So I did a little bit of spring change, did some shock change, and I can tell you right now, I went out on a little local bridge here with no burnout, no rubber. I let the button go and it feels like it's biting pretty hard. It has been a while since it's been in the car, of course, but it does feel like it's grabbing pretty good. We're throwing the slicks on. We're going back to our spot that we were at before, see if we can match or better our 60-foot times. Again, I was on AEM V2 last time I was there. Now we're on the Max CCU. I'm going to try to mimic the V2 timing, fuel, and boost on the first hit because I want to get some good base data from where I was and see what the suspension did. See if it matches or betters my 60-foot. If it does, then I'm going to start playing with the ECU, and I know what I did worked. It's working better. So we're going to film a little bit of the testing. My dad's gonna be out there, got a local buddy gonna be there, and some other guys might be there testing too. We were gonna go Friday, but it looks like we're gonna have some weather. So it looks like we're gonna get out there Saturday. So we were out there testing. I'll get a little bit of video. I had to redo a little bit of my launch control and two-step. I changed a little bit in there. Now I'm back to a two-stage style two-step. And I had to really adjust my timing ramp. I had too much timing too early and too little timing too fast. So I had to adjust that ramp to get it right. If you have way too much timing too early, it kind of like kills the power of the car. So you gotta get that sweet spot of timing. You gotta push through the converter with some timing.
More power, baby.
And then as the turbo starts spooling, you have to start cutting ignition down. And what that does is it burns a lot, it burns hotter, more combust in the cylinder. Which in turn creates that more exhaust pressure and it spins the turbo up faster. So my car, now you really hear it kind of, and it'll climb up really quick at the end. That's when I start pulling the timing, the boost goes way up, and it is holding my target boost right on the money. I did a little bit of adjustments to where it'll play with timing to keep the boost where I want it. So now on the slick tune and the radial tune, I got it. I can hold 15 pounds. I can hold 20 pounds. I can probably hold 25 or 30 pounds. And the plan this year is to build a lot of boost and pull timing and yank RPM back to really get the car out with boost and be able to smack it with power quicker. That means the turbo already spooled up. So it's going to be a challenge this year, but I'm super excited. Something a little new on the back. That's right, guys. We're gonna run a little bit of hard tire action this year. And let me tell you, I just went out and yeah, they don't have any grip. I mean, like zero. It's a little scary. There's no grip there. So that's another thing I was out playing with. I really need to get this hard tire thing down if I'm gonna compete this year in hard tire. I think I'm gonna need a good bit of weight in the trunk. Now that I got those springs back there, it should hold it fine. And I'm talking light. You gotta come out the hole really light, no power, pulling a lot of timing. I want the turbo to be spooled up, but I can't make too much power. It just blows tire off. So we're gonna try to build as much boost as we can, but bring the RPMs down so it's not shocking the tire. Hopefully it gets us rolling, and then we can bring the timing in and do well with hard tire. But it's gonna be a challenge, but I like the challenge. I think once I figure out hard tire, I think this car would do pretty good with hard tire. It doesn't make a ton of torque, makes a lot of top end power. And I'm telling you right now, I'm not gonna use all the power that this thing has for those hard tires. I'm probably gonna use like a quarter of what I could typically use. I mean, I don't even use all the power in the slick. I've never had this turbo cranked up more than 40 pounds. So having hard tire ain't gonna take much over 30. Slicks and radials I've seen 40, 43. But again, that was before suspension change. So I'm really hoping suspension change does a lot for us. So check out some testing here and we'll see how we do. Package. I believe I know who it's from. I think it's from my good friends at Rocket Prep, stashing me up for the season. Rocket Prep, that's what I'm talking about. All right, we're out here testing in Old Mexico. Got Dad with me today, checking tire pressure. We don't have more air because my air pressure thing died, even though I charged it all night. Don't know what happened there. Amazon special, so time to get a good one of those. We made 2 hits so far. It's running pretty good. We're starting to stiffen up the rear suspension to see if that's stiffened. I did some soft hits first to see, and now we're gonna stiffen it up and see what she can do. So the first 2 hits there, you can see the rear end's getting stiffer and stiffer. So now we're going pretty stiff with it, same launch. We'll compare data and go from there. Really hard. Like, that's the hardest it's bitten the whole time. It seemed like it bit harder than that. Well, guys, that did not go as planned. We're on our way back. The last pass, I heard a lot of grinding and a lot of banging. It looks like I bent my rear end cradle. So it's the custom cradle tubing piece that holds the rear end up there. It looks like I folded it. It pushed the rear end up like that, and now the drive shaft is rubbing on a bunch of mount components. It wore a groove in the drive shaft pretty good. And we have a race in 2 weeks, so that's great. The car, though, was performing really well. That last pass, I actually really stiffened up the front end rebound, trying to get it to lift a lot slower to see if it would help. And it looks like it did help the porpoising a little bit. Right now, everything's fairly stiff on the car, and it seems to be liking it like that. So I just was talking to Jason Wadsworth, and he has got another cradle that's made out of a lot tougher tubing, and he's also going to weld in some support trussets to make it stronger. So he's going to send me that. I'm also he's going to send me some rear billet mounts that are solid. Right now I still have rubber ones. So we'll be able to get that on the car before race day. Race day is hard tires, so I'm not going to be applying a ton of power. The drive shaft looks like it's okay, but it's got really bad grooves in it, and it's chewed up pretty good. So I may run that over to Bailey's, have him weld a bead where the groove is, just to kind of reinforce the groove. I don't know, how much it wore down through the material. So have him do that, clean up the drive shaft a little bit, and I think it'll be fine for what we're doing in 2 weeks. It is a Shaftmaster drive shaft. I've had that drive shaft for a long time, and it's been a great drive shaft. I think I'm just going to reach out and have them order me a new one, and then at least I'll have a backup drive shaft. The only other thing I gotta look at, Jason said, make sure that my rear end is okay. He said he's seen where the pinions chipped the tooth off, it got jammed, and it bent the diff up. So we're gonna be taking off the rear cover. It has been leaking, so we're gonna take the rear cover off to do a new RTV around there, but while the cover's off, I can look in there and inspect the teeth. If we do have a chipped tooth or something's in there that's not good, we do have our other rear end that we can swap in and run that in 2 weeks. So still should make race weekend, but man, I tell you, this stuff always happens right before a race day. It never fails. You got to test, and I mean, that's racing, stuff happens. So going back to the house now, gonna rip it apart, and I'll show you guys what we tore up. So we are back in the garage, about to jack it up and see what we messed up. All right, so this is our damage. Yeah, not good. And this is not good either. Yeah, completely snapped. And then the drive shaft was rubbing up in here and rubbed here pretty good. I'm hoping my bolts are all right, but I bent it there. So the whole rear end is just bent back. So we're gonna get it out and see what other damage there is. Drive shaft, probably gonna need a new one. It's got a pretty good groove in it. Well, that's not supposed to be like that. I completely snapped it off. This one is bending as well. I bent the back plate. This side's okay. This side's not okay. You can see where I bent it and it forced its way up into the car underneath. So yeah, this is no good. No good at all. So it's not supposed to be that bent. All right, so we got the rear end out. Now we're gonna take the cover off. I'm gonna take the bottom guys out first. And an issue I'm already seeing, these bolts, some of them are loose. So I'm not sure if that's why it's leaking, if they've been shaken loose. But
got a pin here, catch all crap. I'm not sure how tight it's supposed to be, but it didn't seem very tight. It's just shaking the bolts loose. Got a bolt on still, maybe? No, don't see a bolt. tighten this. There we go. Boom.
We're off. There's my rear. So we're just looking at the, make sure we got nothing crazy in there, which I don't see anything crazy. Don't mind the mess. I had all my springs out. Was trying to possibly swap springs into Jamie's wastegate, but I'm not going to do that yet. And I just got tools there. But what we're going to do, we're going to clean up this cover. I might get in here with a razor blade and get the RTV off. And we're going to replace it with Honda Bond. I love me my Honda Bond.
In my opinion, Honda Bond is some of the best stuff when it comes to sealing up case covers or anything. I know domestic guys that buy Honda Bond because they said it's the only stuff that seals up. And they're right, it is really, really good stuff. Alright, I got most of it off. The rest of it I'm going to go ahead and brush, wire brush it, make sure it's good. Then we're going to pressure wash. And then we're going to clean it all up, put it all back together, and be ready for fluid. Once I get it.
So one thing I really dislike about these is the vent system. So this is the vent. I don't know how they do it factory-wise, but what I had, so this is what I was running, which is essentially just like a little copper vent. But when it would spew out, it spewed all down over the rear end. So I'm getting rid of that. I'm gonna run this guy. I'm gonna tap this, and it's gonna have a hose, and I can run the hose and put it somewhere where it's not leaking all over the diff cover. So if it does squirt out, it'll be a nice direct line to the ground, and it won't get all over my cover. Best invention ever. This little guy, amazing. I was able to put this on with ease, and it gets all the Honda Bond out of these metal tubes. This is an insane invention right here, guys. We don't have one of these tools for metal tube, silicones, or anything. Definitely get one. I've been busy today. Got the cover back together. That all looks good inside the diff, so good to go there. You can tell when I'm doing a lot of stuff because everything just starts to clutter. But anyways, diff's good. Got all back together, torqued down. Got the old Honda Bond on there now. Got the kit back out. So my diff mounts, one of them basically ripped the bolt out. So one of these guys was really pulling, and it pulled the threads out. So this is actually the kit fix. So I just got another steel sleeve, drilled it out, shoved her in there. So we got good holes now, at least. So now we're just waiting on a cradle and a new drive shaft, and we'll be back in business. Can't remember if I showed you guys a drive shaft yet, but that's a drive shaft. So it wore a heck of a groove here. This I wouldn't be so concerned about. That I'm concerned about. So probably shouldn't run this. The ends are good, but I'm gonna get new universal joints and use my slip yoke, and I'm just sending Shaftmaster the dimension of the drive shaft, and we should be good. Well, this is my little breather tube that I did. So the bar goes right across here. So I was gonna do some other stuff, but it's gotta be very tight. So I just got this hose. It's real long. I haven't cut it yet. Once I get the new cradle, I'm gonna kind of figure out maybe where I can route this, if I can route it here or come up through here. I just wanna have like a tube that just goes to the ground, so I'm not covering, because this was completely covered with gear oil, and it gets so nasty and sloppy. So I pressure washed it real nice, cleaned it all up, and I wanna try to keep it as clean as I can. So this, I think this will do the trick. Well, I think that's pretty much gonna do it. I ended up pressure washing underneath the car, got a lot of grime and nastiness out. So I'm gonna let that drip dry as she sits in here. We're just gonna wait for a cradle and a new drive shaft, and we'll be back in action. The only unfortunate part is We were not able to get any hard tire testing. Got metal fines in my beard. So I'm not really sure how it's going to perform. I could go out here and do, you know, street test on hard tire, which I did do. But it's not the same as when you have rubber and you got some stickiness out there. So we're going to probably hit this thing pretty soft first round at the airport coming up with the hard tire class. And I mean, it's just having fun. I'm not really worried about it. I'm not expecting to win. I just want to go out. I want to challenge. I want to see if I can, how my tuning skills is with these hard tires. I'm going to fill the trunk up with some weight and hit it kind of soft out the hole. I might have nitrous just to get it spooled up if it's really lazy out the hole. But again, it's going to be off the trailer. There's literally no test hits on hard tires. So we'll see how we do. Next video, we'll probably be installing the new cradle and drive shaft. We're just waiting on Jason and Shaft Masters. So shout out to those guys. Those guys are getting me stuff quick. They know I got a race coming up and they've always supported me. Jason's always supported me, and Dave from Shaft Masters. You guys are awesome. I've had this drive shaft for 6 years and I've never had a problem, and still haven't had a problem. I just bent the cradle and messed up the drive shaft. So those guys are getting me a new drive shaft real quick. Really appreciate it, guys. I thank you so much. Again, guys, comment, like, subscribe, like what you're watching. I'll be back here in a little while when we get this puppy back on the road. I'll catch you then. See you.